Uncharted.
While things have been rather leisurely up to this point, we're about to switch gears, which is coincidentally what the athletes that have traveled to Chattanooga for the 2018 Little Debbie Ironman will be doing tomorrow as a part of the back-to-back 2.4-mile swim, 112-mile bike ride, and 26.22-mile marathon run that makes up the event. While I like to think that I take personal fitness seriously, these competitors take things to an entirely different level. And given that Chattanooga was awarded with the title of Best Host City in 2017, along with over a dozen other accolades since securing the Ironman events back in 2013, I'm hoping competitor Stephanie Weldon can give me some insight into what makes this city so great come race day.
So this is a typical day before race ritual.
Okay.
Everybody has to check in their bike.
Okay.
And we usually check in 2 transition bags, one for between the swim and the bike, and one between the bike and the run. Chattanooga, the swim is a downriver swim. So that means you go point to point. You start upriver and you get to swim downriver with the current.
Okay.
And
that's a plus, right?
That's a very big
Okay.
plus. You get that little push. There's a lot of push, actually. And a lot of athletes really appreciate that. It just makes for a little shorter, what they call warm-up to a long day.
Okay.
And that's really fun. Coming out, the crowds are going wild as you run up the hill and transition. So the Chattanooga swim and swimming underneath the bridges of Chattanooga, it's just tremendous. The bike course is beautiful. It's challenging, but the weather's usually really good and very scenic.
And it's always this time of year, right?
Yes,
okay.
It's always end of September.
Okay.
We've had one year that it's been exceptionally hot, but for the most part, we've lucked out with good weather. Then the run is also very challenging. You've got flat sections along the river and then more rolling hills in the neighborhoods. So a lot of athletes look forward to that extra challenge. It's not a flat course at all.
This is a different level of beast in an Ironman, you know, than as opposed to like, you know, like I'm an occasional 5K runner, like, and this is what, you know, seeing all this, I'm like, oh my gosh.
I started with 5Ks. So yeah, that's great.
So back then, when you started with 5Ks, did you know that you eventually wanted to get to the level of, you know, competing in the Ironman?
No, I started triathlon very late. I was 41 when I started. I'm 48 now. If you had asked my 29-year-old self, you're gonna do an Ironman, but before you're 50, I would have been like, no way. It's just funny how life works out and how adventures come along and you just don't know where they're gonna lead you. And I started triathlon in 2011. And I found out that same year my father had cancer. So I found my racing in solidarity with him on his cancer journey. And then we signed up with some friends to do an Ironman. And when he went to that first one with me, we were so excited. And then we found out, about going to Kona. Normally you have to win your age group.
Right.
But there's another way for middle of the pack age groupers to go. You do 12 career Ironmans. And so we got it in our head, we're gonna keep racing and try to get our 12.
Okay.
And my passion for the sport just kept growing and growing. And then, you know, my dad's treatment, I really wanna try to go to Kona where he is still healthy enough to travel and go with us. And so in 2016 here in Chattanooga, I got my 12th Ironman and I qualified, thank you, qualified for the Kona Legacy and was guaranteed a spot for the World Championship 2019. But that didn't stop me from wanting to still race.
You're like, I still want more.
Yeah. And so in 2017, I signed up for Ultraman Florida. 10 days after that, I tore a tendon in my ankle. And it was a lot of soul searching. I had to figure out, doctors say I might not be able to do this ever again. And I've got this spirit inside me saying, yes, you will.
Yeah.
And one of the things in an Ironman is, it's such a grueling event, but you want to find motivation. It can't just be you. I mean, it is a very individualized sport, but I found more motivation getting stories from other people and running with other people. And so I started doing that through my recovery time. It's just more motivation, more motivation. And it's been a long road, but we've still done more Ironman.
Yeah, which is remarkable.
We've proven that you know, that doctors have great advice and great, you know, things to tell us, but sometimes the human spirit can push us farther than we think.
taking on a physical test of this proportion obviously requires motivation, and for many competitors like Stephanie, the meaning behind why they compete is as significant as the challenges they face along the course. Tomorrow, I'll get a chance to hear more of those stories, but first, I'm heading off to learn more about the history of the area, and from what I've heard, the stories I'm about to hear will spook me even more than Stephanie's schedule for race day.